I'll move to apologies. It appears that I have none. And now I will move to declarations of interest. I have one declaration of interest which actually has been very challenging. Let me make it clear that this is not a pecuniary conflict of interest which has a clear legislative framework. Non-pecuniary conflicts of interest are governed by the common law rule against bias, and as far as non-financial interest goes, it fits within a category best described as a conflict of roles. In 2013, Councillor Tim Scandrett was one of 2 councillors appointed to be members of the then V-Base board. He remains the only councillor on the venue's Ototahi board. He was selected by his colleagues for his background in events management and has been able to make a valuable contribution on our behalf. On occasions, the issue of this interest or conflict of roles leads him to stepping back from this table for decisions that conflict with his role on the board. On other occasions, there is no conflict of role and he participates in making a decision, and both examples can readily come to mind. There is no question in my mind that there is not an actual conflict of interest. However, the decision we make today leads me to consider the issue of perception. Is there a perceived conflict? In this case, Venues Ototahi, as the ultimate operator of Te Kaha, has been integrally involved in the preliminary design process that has brought us to consider the D&C contract today. The perception that this role is in conflict with the decision we need to make today outweighs the absolute confidence that I have in Councillor Tim Scandrett's ability to meet his obligations around the table. Perception rules. Councillor Scandrett will not participate in the debate or the decision today, and if you'd like to step back from the table, I'll invite you to do so. I do want to comment more generally on the perception of bias or predetermination, which asks us to each consider whether we are seen to be bringing an impartial mind to today's decision. I have said councillors need to come to the table having absorbed all the relevant information with an open mind, which, as I've also said, is not an empty mind. It is natural to expect that we will bring our own experience and knowledge to the decision-making process, and it's true we may have had views about the matter before we have had the opportunity to consider all the relevant information. I say this because I'm aware that there has been a lot of public commentary about predetermination based on councillors' posts on social media prior to receiving the information we have in front of us today. When I ask each councillor to reflect on this question, I'm not saying that any of you are prevented from discussing issues and exchanging ideas with members of the public. In fact, that's to be encouraged. Nor are you prevented from promoting a particular view during debate around the meeting table today. We are not prevented from advocating opinions in public so long as we haven't indicated that we have already closed our minds before we even received all the relevant information. We are responsible for making decisions in the interests of the people and communities of this district, as I said, Christchurch City and Banks Peninsula. I actually haven't looked at individual councillors' social media posts. Life's too short. I know you have all been well advised of your obligations in this regard, and that the responsibility lies with each and every one of you personally. What I will say is this: I certainly wouldn't want to be the one that sees the council's decision today referred to a higher authority. So on that note, are there any additional declarations of interest? There appear to be none. So now I will move on to deputations by appointment and